we tend to believe that we can't have an outcome in our world. And now more than ever, those of us that desire something different need to have the sense of the potency and ability to create it. It's the awareness that you are part of this universe, you are part of this world. And if we're going to have a different future, you're going to have to stop pretending like you're responsible for all the world's problems. Everything that doesn't work is your fault, and you don't have any ability to change it. That is a level of suffering you do not deserve and is no longer creating what you thought it would. Now's the time to awaken your magic, all of it, in the miracles you be, and let us set us and the world free. What if those of you who think you are energetically unaware, what if it's because you have an energetic awareness that is greater than what anybody else was willing to have, and nobody could acknowledge you for it? When you acknowledge something, it can show up more in your life. And trying to get people to acknowledge that they're fundamentally capable of magic and then that's what their being actually is a very interesting journey, because we live in a world that tells you that you need to understand, you need to define, you need to think. But if you've ever asked for something and had it show up, do you have any idea how? No, truth is you don't. You asked and you were willing to receive. That's magic. And so magic doesn't feel like anything. And we keep going through our lives trying to access magic by trying to feel it rather than by some parameter that makes sense to our logical mind. And being magic is actually being beyond your logical mind and how you function. The only thing we're undoing in ESB and SOP and really all of Access, what we're undoing is what's not you. But sometimes it's a lot easier to undo it if you've been swimming in it and having it around here so that it's easier to actually see it, perceive it, make a different choice, undo the lies that are sticking us, because the only thing that ever sticks us is a lie. And so it starts breaking rather than being a solid foundation or a solid thing that people are living in. It starts breaking apart so that it can change during the class. And people recognize it even though they've never been trained, if you will, or told, hey, this is the energetics of what's going on. What I've seen is after somebody does the foundation of Access, pretty much everything that comes up after that point, even if it looks like an ugly pile of poo, is so it can be changed. Because when somebody does a foundation, they're taking a leap into the known for a being, but the unknown beyond this reality that is actually about being. And that's what ESB and SOP are all about also. The recognition that you're an energetic being. How do we use this to your advantage and to the world's advantage? And now ask to have that for you as part of your reality and world too. ESB is like, it's about the energetic synthesis of your being, meaning, which is like, well, it makes no sense to my mind. I know. It's because it's beyond your mind. It's about the energy of your being that you have very seldom gotten to experience, gotten to live, gotten to know exists for you too. And as a secondary attempt, or as it's like we try to instead think ourselves into what it would be like to be us. And thinking is really a secondhand citizen. Your knowing is far faster. Your energetic of your being is far faster. So an infinite being knows, perceives, bees, and receives. And so to the extent that you're willing to follow your knowing, your perceiving increases, your receiving increases, and your being is acknowledged. So therefore it increases in how it can show up. It acknowledges that there's a thing called your being that is way beyond your mind. It acknowledges that your mind has been lying to you your entire life, and you don't have to fucking listen to it ever again. Okay? And then in SOP, we start with the foundation of ESB, we start exploring how with this foundation of more of your being that you have available, how do we play to create more miracles and more possibilities for us and everybody else? the very first session of ESV, and one way of describing the difference between ESV and SOP is where ESV is actually the class I started with and bringing this energy. And the way it occurred was a long time ago when I first came to Access, I had a bar session that literally saved my life. And I started doing sessions trading with Shannon, who had run my bars, and we would get together once a week. And my life just started transforming. And then after my very first foundation class, Gary Douglas, the founder, called for a session in my office. I was a chiropractor at the time. And he came in and he had an energy. He had a unit. It was like a universe with a body. I was like, whoa, this person is different. Okay. And here I was, and I need to try to, in some way, paint the picture of the insecure person that I was that felt like I didn't get energy. I didn't get awareness. I didn't get what everybody else seemed to get so easily. Gary, he sits down. I'm like, okay, so what can I do for you? He's like, look, ask my body what it wants, follow the energy, you'll know what to do. First two levels of what you do don't really work on me. I need the third level. And I was like, I just started studying that. And he went, look, ask my body what it wants, follow the energy, you will know what to do. And those words are the very words that I try to impart to every single person that comes to class. You will know what to do if you get out of your own fucking way. Okay. And, but of course, the class part of the whole class is getting out of your own way. And how much of your life have you been in your way? How much do you feel like, geez? And some of you might look and go, wow, this and this and this and these people and these things in the world and the, the disasters and the wars and the whatever are the reason for, but actually, we just use those as excuses. We're the ones who are in our own way. Nobody has enough power to stop you except you. So he said this, and I was like, I will know what to do. Okay. But as soon as he said it, there was something I cannot begin to describe that I now realize was the CSP, the CSP energy coming into my world so I could work on him. And it felt like the space was filled. I was in a tiny little office. My office was tiny at the time, but it felt like I was in the middle of a universe. And I was like, oh my God. So um, I start work. I didn't even touch him and his body responded. And then at one point, I'm like, 5 meters, 15 feet away with my hand in the air. I was just like, okay, if I know what to do, fine. I'm just gonna. And I was doing this. I'd never done anything like this before, ever. And in fact, I was told I was the one who didn't get energy, which is awesome. So if you're somebody who's like, I don't get energy, believe me, I understand. That's exactly what I thought too. Okay. And here I am teaching other people that they get energy. Weird. Anyway, so this session goes for over an hour. And all I did was just, if it felt like the thing to do, I would do it. And that's the other part we've got to get. Sometimes when you believe you at least know what you're doing cognitively is when you're actually following your knowing energetically. Your knowing is not cognitive. Cognitive is a limitation of your energetic knowing. In doing this, oh God, I felt like somebody had given me a gift that I had been looking for lifetimes. A way of accessing the energy behind the structure of matter itself and a way of molding it and changing it and expanding it. And that's what ESB and SOP are. And Gary gets up after however long the session was, and he looks like he has taken every drug known to man, woman, and child. And he kind of tries to look at me and just kind of looks at it. I was like, how are you doing? Because I had no reference point for me being able to actually do something that was good for someone. If I didn't deep tissue the thing out of their muscles, I didn't know it was happening. And he was like, that was incredible. And I didn't know it at the time, but he told me later, is like, when I was coming to you, I was dying. He also did for me what I did for him because that acknowledgement that that energy existed in the world that I had hoped for could exist might not, it's not me. I mean, it was me being able to receive from it, be part of it, but that's what I show everybody else how to do. Receive from it, be part of it. This is yours too. It's not mine, you know, and to think that it's mine and you can do it is a separation that creates us as less and somebody else as more. But what this energy shows you is that you're not less than anyone. This is what this is about. You having access to the miracles that you are. You trying to conclude how the change will look is what stops you from having the universe or being able to receive the universe gifting it to you in the way that it can. I want to acknowledge one other thing that occurs with ESP, and then at a different level with SOP, as you start to play with these energies even more, you know, ESB is like, okay, this receiving of something that just makes everything different. You look through different eyes at everything afterwards. And then the SOP is another something, but given that you take that leap to play to, it creates a substantialness of something that you will always have access to. Number one, I'd like to let you know you are not alone
Mm.
anymore, ever again. Number two, I'd like you to know you are not wrong. Okay. Now, I can say that I'm saying this not because I believe we'll clear all of it out of people's worlds, but some of us need to hear that right now because you're in a lot of things that are going on with a lot of people, and you think somehow you must be wrong if they're not able to see something different or if you're not able to change what they have going on. The other element is what if it's not your fault? How many of you have believed it's your fault if anybody is unhappy? And when I may say anybody, I mean anybody, especially anybody in your family, but anybody in your school, anybody in your friend group. How much of you believe that anything that is not sweetness and light that happens for anybody is your fault? And how much have you been had that projected at you energetically your whole life? And you assume if it's projected at you that many times, that often, with that much intensity, it must be true, right? Because if it weren't true, people wouldn't say it. People wouldn't do it. People wouldn't make an issue of it. People wouldn't try to blame you for everything. Guess what? It's not true. It is not your fault. What ESB starts to do is take you out of that contraction that you've been experiencing pretty much ever since you had a body and show you that that being you were before you came into this body is actually something you can access more and more and more and be more and more and more and create your life and living from. It is beautiful. And you, no matter what you think about you, are
Mm.
actually a beautiful creature with infinite choices and infinite possibilities. And if you hear that and you're like, oh, that sounds cheesy. I used to think so too. And then I realized it's far truer than the idea that I was a limited being with no choice. Which is lighter for you? It's true, always makes you lighter. What else is possible?